So, discussion for today will be discussion on trading on equity. So, meaning of trading on equity, significance of trading on equity, impact of trading on equity shareholders, then explanation with numerical illustration. I've taken two. And what are the conditions satisfied by the company for taking the advantage of trading on equity? These are the topics. Lavanya, I think your mic is on.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. So what do you mean by trading on equity or leverage? Now, why is it called as leverage effect? You should explain. Okay, I will tell you why is it called as leverage effect little later. Okay, so the meaning of leverage effect will be refers to the increase in the earnings per share, EPS, by employing more of fixed cost sources. It should be more. I just made a mistake here. The more it has come. Fixed cost sources. So what do you mean by fixed cost sources? Fixed cost sources are the ones which bear a fixed return on investment. In that also, though preference share capital also is having a fixed return, it is not a statutory commitment on the part of the company to pay dividend on the preference share, number one. Number two, preference share capital is not a tax deductible source. So the company doesn't gain anything by employing preference shares, whereas the company stands to gain by employing more of fixed cost sources like debentures, mortgage loan, etc., which bear a very fixed return even in the years of high profits, number one. Number two, these sources are tax deductible sources. So, when the company is paying interest on the borrowed capital, the company will deduct tax at source and remit the rest of the balance only to the debenture holder or the borrower or the lender. So, that being the case, the company will make bulk payment of tax to the income tax department. Thereby, they get concession from the income tax department also. The benefit of it will go to the equity shareholders ultimately. So we need to highlight repeatedly, please remember, we need to repeatedly highlight the primary objective of financial management, which is called as wealth maximization. So we need to keep on highlighting what is the purpose of leverage effect. Why should a company employ more of fixed cost sources? It is because the company will will help the wealth maximization of the equity shareholders. So any decision which the company takes in terms of employment of funds, the company should ensure that the company is able to provide highest return on investment to the equity shareholders. So we need to keep on insisting on this fact that benefit to the equity shareholders is the primary objective of a company. So the proportion of debt in the overall capital is called as financial leverage. So if the composition of debt in the total capital employed of the company increases, the benefit goes to the equity shareholders. Then it is computed as debt by equity or debt by debt plus equity. So when more debt is employed, obviously financial risk of the company will increase. So what do you mean by financial risk? It is a company when a company is unable to meet its fixed financial charges. So it is the obligation on the part of the company to meet out its fixed financial charges as and when they fall due. No doubt when the company employs more of debt, when the capital structure has the more debt, naturally the financial risk of the company will increase. But it is a situation where the company can capitalize on the opportunity that is given. So in the years of high profits, this is what we have to highlight repeatedly. The condition of leverage effect or trading on equity is possible only in the years of high profits, not in the years of normal profits or low profit. In the years of high profits, the company will be declaring only fixed return on investment to the equity shareholders, fixed return on investment to the borrowed capital, thereby plowing back more amount of profit or declare more amount of dividends to the equity shareholders. So that is the biggest advantage of employing more of debt in the years of high profits. So if the company's returns are not satisfactory, it is better that the company does not employ more of debt. Why? Because anytime the company employs debt, financial risk of the company is going to increase. That means the commitment on the part of the company to meet out its fixed financial charges as and when they fall due. So that being the case, if the company is having sufficient profit, no problem at all. But if the company doesn't have sufficient profit, it is very dangerous to employ more of debt, and because the debenture holder or the lender will go to the court for even winding up of the company. So that is the problem. So this is one thing. Then coming to the next one is, so why, before that, why do we call it as leverage effect? Now, what is the purpose of a lever? Any lever is used to bring up an objective from beneath the surface. So leverage effect implies that by employing more of fixed cost sources, the company is able to bring up the return on investment to the equity shareholders. That is why it is called as leverage effect. What is the advantage of it is how much ever debt capital the company employs, ultimately it is the equity shareholders who are going to control the entire company. So the control of the company is not diluted as far as employment of more borrowed capital is concerned. So when will the company go for more of borrowed capital? So the company can go for more of borrowed capital only when three conditions are satisfied. Number one, the rate of return on investment should be greater than the rate of return payable on borrowed capital. So if the return on investment is say 16% and the rate of return payable on borrowed capital is say 8% or 10%, fine. Still the company has got good plowback, good balance. So if the return on investment is 8% and rate of interest payable on borrowed capital is 10%, no point in employing more of borrowed capital. Similarly, when the economic cycle, if the economic cycle is showing a sluggish trend, that is a bearish trend where the prices are falling, investors are not willing to invest money, it is safe that the company does not go for borrowed capital. Because every 1 rupee the company employs in the form of borrowed capital, its financial risk will increase. Then the second condition to be satisfied by the company is that source of debt should be a tax deductible source. So that is the reason I told you company doesn't prefer to employ preference share capital, because preference share capital is not a tax deductible source. So the company would prefer to employ more of debt. The next is the company must have sufficient fixed assets to offer as security. These conditions are not mentioned in the textbook features. Please remember, please note down these conditions, which will be of very great help. It is there inside the paragraph in the NCERT textbook, but not as a highlighting factor. You ensure that you are mentioning these conditions, and you ensure that when your students write this answer, they write along with this only. So the company must have sufficient fixed assets to offer as security. That means, you know pretty well that the borrowed capital is always a secured borrowing only. So the lender will demand for certain assets to be given as security. So if it is a trading company, they may not have sufficient assets to offer as security. That's the difference between a manufacturing industry and a trading industry. So the company must have sufficient fixed assets to offer as security. So these are the conditions to be satisfied by the company before employing more of fixed cost sources in the capital employed of the company. Am I very fast? Should I slow down?
No, ma'am.
Is it comfortable?
Comfortable.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Now coming to, I've started with the numerical explanation. Vivo Limited is a company manufacturing. Do you all have NCERT second volume with you right now? If any one of you have it, we can have a discussion of the illustration which is given over there. Then go to this. Is it possible? So this is the example that is given in the book to show how the positive effect of the leverage effect is shown here. So there are three examples that are given to you. The total funds used by the company is 30 lakhs. Under situation 1, there is no borrowed capital at all. Under situation 2, 10 lakh rupees is a borrowed capital, and situation 3, 20 lakh rupees is the borrowed capital. Total funds, total interest, sorry, rate of interest is 10%, tax rate is 30%, and earnings before interest and tax is given to you as 4 lakh rupees. So in situation 1, 4 lakh is the earnings before interest and tax. There is no interest at all. Therefore, you get earnings before tax, that is after interest before tax, 4 lakh rupees. Then tax rate is also given to you as 30%. 30% of 4 lakh is 1,20,000. So earnings after tax is 2,80,000. Please remember this tax is a income tax which is payable. The next one is earnings after taxes is 2,80,000 rupees. Number of shares when the company has got 30 lakh rupees, face value is 10 rupees. Even this you can remember. In the absence of any specific information, face value is always 10 rupees for shares and 100 rupees for debentures. So number of shares is 3 lakh rupees. So earning per share is 0.93. Earning per share is nothing but earnings before interest, earnings after tax divided by number of equity shares. So 2,80,000 divided by 3 lakh, the return on investment to the equity shareholders on a per share basis comes to 0.93. Whereas in the second situation, when the company is employing 10 lakh rupees as borrowed capital, the company has to pay interest at 10%. So from 4 lakhs, company is reducing interest at 1 lakh rupees. So it is 3 lakh rupees earnings before tax, that is after interest before tax. Then tax is 30%. 30% of 3 lakhs comes to 90,000 rupees. Earnings after tax is only 2,10,000. Now for a layman, when he looks at it, in the situation 1, the profit is 2,80,000 rupees, whereas in the situation 2, it is only 2,10,000. So for a layman, they will think that it is very dangerous. But see, ultimately what happens is number of equity share is reducing to 2 lakh rupees. Thereby, the company is able to provide return on investment of 1 rupee 5 paise. So there is an increase in the EPS by employing equal borrowed capital. The situation is still better in the third case when you have the same 4 lakh as your earnings before interest and tax. Interest is 2 lakh rupees. So earnings before tax is 2 lakh rupees. So still it is coming down. And number of tax rate is 60,000. So you have earnings after tax is 1,40,000 only. Again, a layman will get disturbed that only 1,40,000 is there. But number of equity share is only 1 lakh rupees. Thereby, 1 rupee 40 paise the company is able to provide return on investment. So it is very evident that by employing more of fixed cost sources, the company is able to provide higher return on investment to the equity shareholders. The next table, now in this case, the profit is a very deciding factor. So profit is very significant. Because of that, the company is able to provide higher return on investment to the equity shareholders. But the condition will change in the second situation where the profits are just half. See, here it is 4 lakh, whereas here it is only 2 lakh. Given the same conditions that in the first case 100% equity, second case 10 lakh debt and 20 lakh equity, and in the third case 20 lakh debt and 10 lakh equity, you find in the first situation interest is nil, earnings before tax is 2 lakh rupees, tax at 30% is 60,000 rupees. So you get earnings after tax 1,40,000. 1,40,000 divided by number of equity share is 3 lakh rupees. Company is able to give 47 paise per share as earning per share. Whereas in situation 2, when the company employs 1/3 as debt, the company has 2 lakh rupees profit. Interest is 10%. 10% of 10 lakh is 1 lakh rupees. So profit after tax, after interest before tax is 1 lakh rupees. For that, 30% interest goes. So the company has only 70,000 rupees on hand. 70,000 divided by 2 lakh, you find that the company is able to pay only 35 paise as return on investment when the company employs 1/3 debt. The situation is still worse when the company employs 2/3 debt, but by which what happens, every amount of profit that the company has earned, goes for payment of interest itself. So 2 lakh is the profit available. Interest itself is 2 lakh. So there is no earnings before tax. That is after interest before tax. When there is no earnings, there is no income tax at all. Therefore, earnings after tax is also nil. And total number of shares is 1 lakh, but you have a zero balance. So by which earning per share also will be nil only. So this question says very clearly, it is very evident that to employ more of fixed cost sources, the company's profits should be on a higher side. Only then the company can go for go in for employment of more of fixed cost sources. Fine. I'll just stop it here. Anu ma'am, you can make me a host. I think the issue is resolved. I got back the supply. Anu ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
you can make me a host. So this question, Vivo Limited is a company manufacturing textiles. It has a share capital of rupees 60 lakhs. Are you all able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So the earning per share in the previous year was 50 paise. Please note down, the company is not giving you the profit amount, but the company is giving you earning per share. The final figure is given. So from this, we have to arrive at the profit before tax. So previous year was 50 paise. That is earning per share. That is after all adjustments. That is earnings after tax. For diversification, the company requested an additional capital of rupees 40 lakhs. The company, it should have been required, sorry. The company raised funds by issuing 10% debentures for the same. During the current year, the company earned a profit of rupees 8 lakh and the tax paid was 40%. So the company in the second year has gone for additional fund of 8 lakh. Apart from the 60 lakh, the company has gone for additional fund of 8 lakh. And there is a tax paid, that is which is 40%. State whether the shareholders gained or lost in respect of earning per share on diversification. Show your working clearly. Also, state any three factors that favor the issue of debentures by the company as part of its capital structure. So this is the question. Let me show you the workings. So in the case 1, Samshad,
Yes, ma'am.
I think your mic is on.
Sorry, ma'am. 1 minute.
No problem, no problem, no problem. Can I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Okay. So in the case 1, the total capital is 60 lakh rupees. There is no borrowed capital at all. And you are not given earnings before interest and tax or interest amount because there is no borrowed capital at all. Similarly, tax is also not given here, but you are given earnings after tax. How am I saying earnings after tax? I'm going in the reverse procedure. You are given earning per share is 50 paise. So number of shares of rupees 10 each is 6 lakh because your capital is 60 lakh rupees. So 6 lakh into 50 paise, your earnings should have been 3 lakh rupees. I hope I am clear, teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So 50 paise, the company is able to provide return on investment to the equity shareholders when the company had only equity share of 60 lakh rupees. On the other hand, in situation 2, the company has 60 lakh in the this one 60 lakh in the form of equity, and the company is raising additional capital of 40 lakhs. Total capital comes to 1 lakh, and you are given earnings before interest and tax to be 8 lakh rupees, and 40 lakhs is the debenture, 10% interest. Therefore, interest amount comes to 4 lakh rupees. So profit after interest before tax comes to 4 lakh rupees. Then tax at 40% is 1,60,000. So profit available to the equity shareholders is 2,40,000. And number of equity shares is 6 lakh rupees. The company is able to provide 40 paise only. So the situation is very evident that the company is not able to provide higher return on investment to the equity shareholders when the profits are not satisfactory. Am I clear? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
audible
Yes.
only, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this example clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So what happens here? So in situation 1, so earnings before tax divided by, or sorry, earnings before tax or earnings before interest and tax is 5 lakh rupees, taking the previous one where you have this one. If you are going to take it as 1 crore to be the profit, then your 1 crore to be the capital employed, your total returns would have been only 5 lakh rupees. So on diversification, the EPS falls from 50 paise to 40 paise
40.
because the company's interest commitment increases. So that is the final answer that we have to highlight. And what are the 3 factors which favor the issue of debentures by the company as part of capital structure is tax deductible source. That is one big advantage of debentures. So the company will deduct bulk tax and the company will remit that bulk tax to the income tax department, thereby getting income tax refund, which also is passed on to the equity shareholder. So that is one advantage. The next is flotation cost. Flotation cost is the amount that is spent on raising the funds. So the company will have to go for window dressing to make this one to be very attractive, equity shares to be very attractive, because we know pretty well that only adventurous investors will invest money on equity shares. So the company will have to be very clear that if they are prepared to pay more amount of money on raising the funds, then the company can confidently employ more of equity share capital. But when the company has certain restrictions about the amount to be spent on raising money, like printing of prospectus, brokerage commission, underwriting commission, etc., it is better that the company goes for more of debt and less of equity. And similarly, when the company is very conservative in their approach, that they don't want the control to be diluted, then the company can employ more of debt and less of equity, because ultimate decision-making authority lies with the equity shareholders. If the company goes for additional issue of equity shares, there's going to be watering the equity, that is dilution of control, more people to join the decision making, so there will be delay in decision making, etc. So to avoid that, the company can employ more of fixed cost sources. So these are the 3 conditions. So this is the answer for that question. The second question, also state any 3 factors that favor the issue of debentures by the company as part of its capital structure. Now going to the second question. Give a reading of it. It's a small question only. It's a 3-mark question. Analyze the information given below and determine if the company has been able to take advantage of trading on equity in situation B. There again I have left. Give reason in support of your answer. So total funds used is 90 lakh rupees. Situation A, debt is nil and equity is 90 lakhs. Situation B, debt at 12% interest is 10 lakh and equity is 80 lakh. The company earned a profit of rupees 9 lakh on the capital employed. This is the question. So solution to question number 2. So return on investment is earnings before interest and tax divided by capital employed into 100. So 9 lakh divided by 90 lakh into 100 is 10%. This is the total return on investment. So please remember, the first and foremost precondition for issuing more of borrowed capital is the company's rate of return on investment should be greater than the company's rate of return payable on the borrowed capital. That is the first condition given. So now in this case, what happens is company's return on investment is only 10%, whereas the company has to pay, I'll just show you here. See, you are given here 12%. Interest rate is 12% the company has to pay, whereas the company's return on investment is only 10%. That means if the company employs more of debt, its financial risk will increase because every amount of profit will go to they will go towards interest, and more also the company has to pay. So that is a very dangerous situation. So in the given case, ROI is less than rate of interest. Therefore, it is a clear case of unfavorable leverage effect. A company can take advantage of trading on equity only when it is a condition of favorable financial leverage. ROI greater than rate of interest. Therefore, it is a case of unfavorable. 1 minute. I think I have made a mistake here. ROI less than. Yes. So ROI less than rate of interest. Therefore, it is a case of unfavorable financial.
Financial leverage.
Yes. So company will not be able to take advantage of trading on equity as rate of interest is 12%, which is higher than rate of return on investment, which is 10%. I'll just stop sharing for a minute. What do you mean by business environment? So business environment refers to the various factors which influence the business internally and externally. So it is generally said that you take the whole world, from that take out the business. What is left out is business environment. So the environment in which the business is functioning, the various factors which influence the business are all called as business environment. Now they can be general forces and specific forces. General forces is the one which affect every business organization, the general factors. Say for example, train ticket booking. We used to wait long hours standing outside the ticket counter. Early in the morning, we'll go sit over there for booking the tickets, etc. Now after that you had the agents, the intermediaries. So you pay 25 rupees per ticket, your tickets are done. Now what happened? Your railways has given the online train ticket booking. You have this one. So railway tickets now online. So for every individual who's registering with railways online will be having a unique ID. So you have a login credentials. So anytime you want to book tickets, you can just go log in and book the tickets. So even if you are in the North Pole or the South Pole also, you can book tickets for Indian Railways from one corner to another corner, by which what happened, it has affected the agents. It has affected so many people. So that way, various factors, but it is a problem for everybody. So it's a common problem for the whole world. So that is the thing. So various factors which influence the business. So specific forces are the ones which are very specific to the particular business organization alone. So you take for example now Sri Lanka is in fire. Like Sundaragandhatla that time Hanumanji set fire to Sri Lanka. Now the Rajapakse brothers have set fire for themselves. That's all. Now imagine the business organizations in Sri Lanka. Now one Samsung this one showroom has been completely ransacked by the this one protesters. You find every business organization is very badly affected. So it is affecting only the companies and business organizations which are in Sri Lanka. It doesn't affect anything else. Now take for example pandemic. The COVID pandemic has affected international. So tourism, for example, tourism industries across the world, aviation industries across the world completely affected. Now recently only the government has cleared the international transport, the traffic for tourism. Until then tourism was not there at all. For 2 years completely international transport was affected, tourism was affected. So it is not India specific, it is world specific. So there are certain general factors and specific factors which affect the business. Some factors have a strong impact while some factors do not have a very significant impact. Then now coming to the next one, why is it important to understand the business environment? So it enables a firm to take the advantage of the opportunities that come up. Now, when this pandemic came, for example, when the pandemic came, you found a lot of street vendors. I don't know how many of you experienced it in your respective towns and cities. We experienced it in Chennai. Now they said shops will be closed and half a day shop, etc. You found the hawkers and peddlers coming on the road with vegetables, then small provisions, groceries, etc. So the customer need not go to the shop and stand hours together for getting the product. Instead, the street vendors. So many small business people came up. Mushroom growth of small people, and they could earn their living by that. That way, that is one thing. Similarly, this mobile applications like Dunzo, you place the order, they will get it. So you place the order through Dunzo, they will get it from the nearest shop of the customer. So for example, I stay in West Mambalam, I place order for provision. Dunzo will go to the nearest shop where he can get the product and deliver it at my doorstep. So my job is very, very easy. Similarly, online trade. Now, recently, every big textile showroom has gone in for online business. So, Chennai Silks. So, you go to www.chennaisilks.com or .org or Pothys or anything. You have online shopping. So, there are so many videos posted, uploaded with the saris and different ranges, etc. You can see the videos and other things, and then select the saris. To that extent, there are a lot of changes. So the business organizations want to grab these opportunities. Now, how many of us are going to the bank? Earlier, we were dropping the check across, we were handing over the check across the counter to get money. Then we were dropping the check in the box, money was getting credited. Then later we went in for ATM. Now online banking and GPay. I hardly have, I think, 500 to 1,000 rupees at home because every transaction is GPay only. So you get flour from the local flour vendor, transfer 50 rupees to her through GPay. So the business organizations have identified. Now the local vendor, you see this vegetable vendor also, he has a scanner. He has a QR code. So you go buy one spinach, you don't need to take 20 rupees with you. You only have your mobile, scan it, pay the money and go. To that extent, business organizations are smart enough to identify the opportunities and grab the first mover advantage, by which what happens, what is called as early bird opportunity. Before others come into the business, they can do it. Just one more example I will give you for this. Earlier, people were fighting the mosquitoes with the help of the nochi leaves, and they say they will put smoke and they will try to this one, especially in the evening around 6 o'clock, they will close all the windows and other things and try to protect. That is how it used to be. Then later they had this tortoise coils, wherein the smoke will come. That had certain threats, in the sense that smoke was causing some bronchial issues, asthmatic issues.
Yes, ma'am.
Number two, some people were keeping it closer to their pillows and other things. They were choked to death also because it caught fire. So all those
happened.
things. Yes. After that, what happened is Odomos cream came. That also people had a lot of apprehension, especially applying on the kids. People were doubtful if that will be good or not. So finally, this goodnight mat that came as a big boon. So you only mosquito repellent, you buy the machine and insert that mat. It will give you relief for 8 hours, 10 hours, that way. So it had a big impact. So people felt that it is very comfortable, no side effects, nothing applicable on the individual, no problem at all. So that way. So it had a tremendous market. It had a good market. He started initially with 140 rupees, that machine and the mat initially. So for about 2 to 3 months, there were no competitors at all. He was only enjoying the market. So after 3 months only, this Banish, another company came in. Then Martin, another company came in. So that way the competitors came in. Then he reduced the price. But until then, he was enjoying all the things. So he identified how he could do it and got the advantage of it. The second one is helps the firm to identify threats and early warning signals. This is one more thing. 2004. Yes, 2000. Now Narendra Modi is serving the second term in as Prime Minister. Yes, 2014 to 19, now 19 till now. So 2004, when there were a lot of political volatility and other things, Congress had a marginal edge over this one. That is there were two big alliances, coalitions. One is UPA, United Political Alliance, consisting of Congress, then Samajwadi Party, then Rashtriya Janata Dal and others. And there was one National Democratic Alliance, which consisted of BJP, Telugu Desam, and so many other parties. So in 2004 election, what happened? There was a huge change. In the sense, this UPA had a marginal edge over the NDA. So the president waited, and could not proceed further. So after waiting for the specific statutory duration, he had called the Congress, which was the single largest party, to form the government. For example, the next day, that is May 13th to 2004 was considered to be a Black Monday. You know why? That day stock market crashed very badly. May 12th, Sunday, Anil Ambani went and met Sonia Gandhi at 10 Janpat, which is her official residence. So that gave a signal to many people that Anil Ambani, being one of the industrial giants that time, of course, now he is no longer a big giant, but he had sensed some changes. Because of that, he went and met the probable prime ministerial candidate that way. So the next day, what happened? Sonia Gandhi was to claim stake for forming the government, but from morning, investors were so restless because they identified that the country is going to have an unstable head who doesn't have any political experience or any administrative capacity. So foreign investors had a doubt whether investing in India is safe or not. So what happened? All the investors started selling. So the stock market had sale. That's all. No buying at all. So there were lot of sellers, but there were no buyers at all. Because of that, what happened? More supply, less demand. Stock market started crashing. At the end of the day, finally, the Reserve Bank of India instructed LIC to pump in lot of money to bring stability in the stock market. So this one, LIC pumped a lot of money and bought the securities by which the share market crash was to by minimum extent they could restore. But big companies could manage because they identified the warning signals and they could do it. Fine. So this way, if the business organization is smart enough, they could identify the threats and early warning signal. But thanks to Sonia Gandhi, by the end of the day, she announced that Dr. Manmohan Singh will be the Prime Minister of the country. To that extent, damage was considerably reduced. Considerably. That's why it was not a full-fledged one. Then coming to the next one is helps in tapping useful resources. If the businessman is smart enough, he will be able to tap the useful resources the best manner. So the manager, if he is able to understand the business environment, he will be able to know. I don't know if the teachers from Madurai, Mayavaram and Lavanya is from which place now? Kallakurchiya.
No, ma'am, Tirupur.
Tirupur. Fine. How many of you have seen in outside the vegetable shops, vegetables cut and packed in packets in plastic
No, ma'am.
covers?
No, ma'am.
No, see,
So sorry.
Samshit says she has not seen. Yes.
Mailar
Ma'am,
have
actually,
already
yes, sir.
seen in Chennai.
Chennai only,
While
ma'am.
ஆமா
work
சென்னையில தான் சோம்பேறிங்க
Chennai
in
ஜாஸ்தி.
only.
Chennai.
சென்னையில
Yes,
தான்
ma'am.
Before 10
சோம்பேறிங்க
years,
ஜாஸ்தி.
ma'am, before
மேம்
10 years itself, I
வாழைத்தண்டு
used to
கட் பண்ணி
see.
பேக் பண்ணி வச்சிருப்பாங்க மேம்.
எதுமா?
வாழைத்தண்டு கட் பண்ணி
ஆமா
pack பண்ணி-
வாழைத்தண்டு கட் பண்ணி பேக் பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. You want to make bisibelabath, for that vegetables will be available. You want to
I
make
saw in
aviyal, for that
Reliance, ma'am.
vegetable will be there. Then
Chennai
carrot-
Reliance.
ஆமா சென்னை Reliance. Even now you get it even in every Paramudi store, it is the thing. You
Oh,
find
but here not it found, ma'am.
it is not yet found. Now see why I am taking this example is they have identified that more working women are there and they don't have time to cut the vegetable. Number one. Okay, so make the job easy.
Easy.
Number two, the vegetables which are not packed are not so fresh or anything. Able to understand the vegetables which have not
Yes,
been
yes.
sold at the end of the previous day. Okay, they are giving old wine in new bottle. So
Yes,
pack
ma'am,
it
of
and
course.
sell it. People will think, okay, my job is that done. Vegetable is cut, so no problem at all. But the fact is, they are not wasting even one piece of vegetable. They are making the best use of it. Similarly,
Utilization of resources.
yes,
probably
tapping
effectively.
useful resources. So everything is being used. Similarly, you find this one. One more example I wanted to tell you, tapping useful resources. I was just thinking of it suddenly. I was that conversation got distracted. This one, you find no some of the shops you have this mixed fruit juice. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
fine. So it will be there in big containers. It will be chill. In the afternoons, you go to those shops by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock on a hot day. You find great demand for all these things. Okay, what are those fruits? The fruits which are to be rot, which may be thrown. So before throwing, they are making it, and you add some
As a
sugar.
juice.
Yes,
Making
and
as a juice.
ஆமா full juice கூட இல்ல சாவித்ரி ma'am, you find it in pulps only. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
you have this fruit mix.
That
Okay.
freshness we cannot taste, ma'am.
Yes, and இப்போ வந்து அந்த fruit mixலயே you have other combinations with rose milk, with badam milk, fruit mix with badam milk, that way. So half a tumbler badam milk, then half a tumbler this fruit mix. So you enjoy the taste of badam as well as the fruit mix that way. So we can say that they are not wasting anything. Every resource is put into the best use. The kottu paratha no vara even in vegetarian hotels you find what is that, kaima idli, kaima dosai, isn't it? What is that? நம்ம வீட்ல தோசை கல்லு போடுறது you get, sir,
Mouth watering, ma'am.
mouth watering. I am telling only the flip side of it. Okay, நம்ம வீட்ல வந்து தோசை போடுறச்சே ஒரு 2 தோசை பிஞ்சு போச்சுன்னா ஓகே வீசே அதுக்கு பிஞ்சு போச்ச தோசை இது போய் யாருக்கு சர்வ் பண்ண முடியும்னு. வேற இந்த
We say
ஷாப்
sorry and serve. Sorry சொல்லிட்டு serve
ஆமா
பண்ணுவோம்.
சாரி சொல்லிட்டு அது கூட நம்மளே சாப்பிட்டுப்போம், யாருக்கும் கொடுக்க வேண்டாம்னு
Yes,
சொல்லி.
ma'am. Fact is
ஓகேவா,
that.
கிச்சனுக்குள்ளேயே எல்லாமே நடக்கும். ஓகே, so sometime my husband used to say என்ன உள்ள முடிச்சுட்டு தான் வெளியே வருது போலக்கு சாப்பாடு. That way. Whereas that is also made as a tiffin item. You say kaima dosa, kaima idli, இருக்கதெல்லாம் பிச்சு போட்டு அது மேல ஒரு கலர்ஃபுல்லா all the this one gravies and other things added, ஒரு மிளகாப்பொடி, that everything, and it is made a dish. So there is no wastage of resources at all, to putting in best resource, tapping the useful resources. The next one is helps in coping up with rapid changes. We are adapting. The business organizations are able to adapt themselves to the changes that are taking place in the business environment. Now I gave you example of medical tourism, international travel, etc. So even small organizations of late are going in for all these things. See, now when this pandemic came, for first 1 month, there were some disturbances, business organizations lost some business, etc. But nowadays, you find now last week we got one alliance for my sister's daughter. That boy is permanently work from home, it seems. He's working for a leading MNC, but his job is permanently work from home. For that reason itself, we did not entertain the alliance. Because if he is going to be permanently work from home, he doesn't have world exposure at all. He will be glued to his computer and his room alone that way. But companies were able to get the work done in spite of pandemic. You don't go out, but you will be working. So productivity is not affected, and especially these IT industries, there is no reduction in their turnover at all to that extent. So business organizations are able to adapt themselves to the changes if they are able to adapt to the changes in the business environment. They understand the business environment. Some organizations which have not taken a corrective measure when the changes took place are gone out of the market. For example, Reddington typewriters, Halda teleprinters, they are all not there only because they are not able to adapt themselves to the changes. These organizations have gone out of the business only because they have not changed their product according to the changes in the business environment. Then helps in assisting in policy planning and policy formulation. Earlier, meetings with the management means it will be in a cabin where all the top heads will be sitting together and discussing, etc. Nowadays, it is not so. Everything is virtual. Global meetings are taking place only through virtual contact. So quick decisions can be taken. Gone are the days when the subordinate will go to the manager's room with the notebook to note down everything, to take a decision, etc. Now just to drop a mail, you have so many network connections. So everybody can access to the mail. There is no need of a personal email and other things. Automatically people can get into the information and act accordingly. Completely everything is connected to the net, by which what happens, quick decisions can be taken, appropriate decisions can be taken, new policies can be formulated, etc. And we do find a lot of improvement in performance. That's the last one, helps in improving performance. We find tremendous changes in the business and business organization. Lot of changes by which what happens, performance is improving. Now you find these metropolitan buses, we used to have this the painted board from this place to that place, and every time at the destination the driver has to change the board and do it. Fine. Now everything is digital, so half the way he wants to change the route, or half the way he wants to make it as a cut service or anything also, it can be easily done by just doing a small changes in the programming. That's all. So by which what happened, digital boards. Then you find now in trains, long distance trains, there is an announcement about the upcoming destination. What is the next railway station coming up? How long the train will stay in that? In how much minutes the train is coming? There is going to go to the particular railway station, etc. So the passengers can plan their activity. If they want to finish up their food, or if they want to pack everything and keep it ready, everything is completely done. Similarly, you find this online booking of food with the IRCTC and other things. So you don't need to take the food supplied in the train. Instead, you book a train. Say, for example, you're traveling from Chennai to Delhi via this one, by Rajdhani Express or this one. You say that your food is to be boarded at, say, Nagpur Junction. So at Nagpur Junction, your food will be loaded and you will be supplied your food at Nagpur Junction. So you don't need to wait for this IRCTC vendor to come and serve you food and other things. It can be easily done. So passengers are finding it very, very comfortable to travel. In this juncture, I would want to highlight the role played by Lalu Yadav. We all think that Lalu Yadav is one uneducated person and with this cow dung scam and other things. But Lalu Yadav was a railway minister during the BJP government 1999 to 2004. For a short period of time, Lalu Yadav was a railway minister. The changes that he had brought in railways made him to be a guest for IIM Lucknow. IIM Lucknow invited Lalu Yadav to discuss about his management mantra. In about 1.5 years, 2 years span, when he was the railway minister, he changed the loss-making unit of railways into a profit-making unit. Why? Basically, he changed the board of management. He entrusted the responsibility of managing the railways to IAS officers. So the IAS officers were given complete freedom to take the decision. by which what happened, lot of changes came in. So this IRCTC, Indian Railways Catering and Tourism Corporation, was brought in during that time as an independent unit of IRCTC, of Indian Railways. They are not a part of railways, but they are funded by railways. So they could do it. So railways, IRCTC started with Bharat Darshan travel plans. So railroad combination. So we pay money to the railways. Railways will take us for a 5-day picnic or 7 days travel tourism, etc. By which what happened? It's a railroad combination. Tourism is improving. Number two, with this Rail Neer project. Rail Neer project, this RO project, RO plant of railways is the largest in the Asia. In largest, this IRCTC at what is it? One place in Madhya Pradesh. That Rail Neer project at this one, Madhya Pradesh is Asia's largest RO plant, most purified water, and he supplies it at a very nominal cost. Very nominal cost. Similarly, Janata meals he brought in that way. People were apprehensive to have food in railway stations because quality, hygiene will not be there, etc. Lalu Yadav's time, they brought in this IRCTC, and IRCTC brought in this Janata meals, 15 rupees, you will get a meal that way. Now you find in all the long distance trains, it will come with food package only. So you only need to mention whether it is vegetarian or non-vegetarian, that's all. So the moment you board the train until you get down from the train, you are given complete. Yes, sir. So the food is taken care of by them, and you get latest facilities from the this one railways. So to that extent, so he has understood. So Lalu Yadav did this one. And one more thing, what made this one railways to become a profit-making unit was by the goods train. The goods train traffic, they earlier, whatever be your demand, for each businessman, only a particular quantity was allowed. He can transport only this much quantity for this much price. So how much ever you are prepared to pay money also, railways were not allowed, were not willing to give you the space. So what the business people were doing, they were going for bribing the railways authorities, fully load the luggage in the goods coaches, but pay only for what is permitted. By which what happened, railways was taking more load, but were getting only less revenue.
Less amount.
So what railways did after this one came, Lalu Yadav came, you take one full coach also, but the tariff is double the amount. Double the amount you get. There is no restriction on how much can you transport. There is no restriction at all, but the rate will be more. But still, the business people were willing to do it because they are safe. They have the evidence. Goods are being transported with proper documentation, etc. So no question of pilferage, theft, etc. Goods are taken very safely. So by which what happened, from the government point of view, for the railways, enormous revenue came. No loss at all. Fine. So that way railways could improve their performance when they understood the business environment. Fine. So we can keep giving any number of examples for all these things if we are able to connect the external environment with the particular topic. Keep reading and getting all the information. It will be really very, very helpful. So I'm just stopping.